Hi everyone, it's Sam, NFTstatistics, and this is your Proof Daily NFT Countdown, your show for everything that's going on in NFTs every single day. Going to talk today about this meme coin drop. Got a little bit more information there. Had a big Fidenza sale or ringer sale. Let's get right into it. Starting off with a quick market overview. Volumes were up a fair bit on Saturday and then a bit more normal on Sunday. Unfortunately, it was not the good kind of up. You saw a ton of sellers dumping NFTs into WETH bids. If you look here, Blur had 84% market share, much more dominant than normal. Normally, we see this number kind of in that 70 to 75% range. I think the big story of the weekend was just a lot of altcoins, a lot of L2s really seeing a lot of weakness. This chart here just looks at ApeCoin, Blur, Matic, and Sol. You can see going back to March 1st, all down a whole lot. Saw pretty much the most weakness actually in ApeCoin and Blur. You know, a lot of these were not ones that were singled out by the SEC last week, but I think ones that kind of have a bit of a ripple effect and people thinking some of the negativity towards some of these other tokens could fall on them as well. I think I think what really happened here was it was just a bit of a follow through from the SEC announcement calling a lot of these tokens securities. And really on Friday night was really when we started to see a lot of pain. One of the announcements that came out is that amidst this cloud of uncertainty, Robinhood decided to nix ADA, Matic, and Sol. And the way that they're going to go about it, is basically if you hold any of those tokens, ADA, Matic, or Sol, in your wallet, and you haven't sold them by June 27th, they're automatically going to sell them for you. So when this starts happening, when you see that kind of sell risk in the future, just this overall uncertainty that we're seeing kind of in this situation, you're just going to see a lot of sell-off, and that's exactly what happened. I think the other thing to it is right now, so much of the NFT ecosystem is dependent on the Blur token. Why is that? It's because the vast majority of the volume is people bidding for Bored Apes, for Mutant Apes, for Doodle, for Moonbirds, for so many of the different projects because they want to earn token. You're seeing a lot of lenders lend money to buyers because they want to earn the Blur token. So when you see the Blur token go down by 30%, like we saw over the past few days, just tends to be really weak for the NFT ecosystem. What this chart here looks at is over the past 7 days, you've had 93% of the volume of trades which were above 1 ETH being on Blur, being sellers dumping into bids as opposed to buyers picking the NFTs they want and buying them. So this trend just tends to be a pretty bearish trend, or certainly reflects kind of the negativity that we've seen over the past 7 days. That's the worst that ratio has really ever been. And what happened with prices, broadly down, large cap index down 4%, a lot of weakness in Cool Cats, Moonbirds, the Pudgy ecosystem was quite weak as well. The other thing I always like to look at is how many NFTs that had not been sold recently are being dumped into bids. Why do I like to look at that? Because that just creates more supply that airdrop farmers have to churn through, find real buyers for in order for the prices not to go down over time. And you saw here that Mutant Apes had something like 300 over the past week that hadn't been sold over the past in a month that were dumped into bids. Bored Apes a little bit less, around 80 or 90, but still, over 1 week, these tend to be pretty high numbers. Nothing totally crazy relative to history, pretty high numbers for these ratios. Mid-cap index was also very weak, down about 7% over the past 3 days. There was some strength in Crypto Dick Bucks and Forgotten Ruins, Ruins Wizards, but a lot of weakness in Compi Pandas. Here you can see the chart. Compi Pandas have been one of the strongest projects over the past 9 months, really. Floor pretty comfortably above that 1 ETH range. Got another bump when they went onto Blend. I believe over the weekend, you had a big seller, someone who had been holding for 4 or 5 months, who came in and dumped 30 or 40. And that really, the bid depth just wasn't there. And that just created a ton of weakness. And the floor price got all the way down to about 0.75 ETH. So I think that this is just a lot of different things coming together for the Compi Pandas technicals. One other thing I wanted to talk about was this Kiwami Teens drop. This is kind of a brother set or an offshoot set of Remilio, and Remilio is an offshoot set, a brother set of Milady, and this was a mint that basically happened over the weekend. You can see that the initial prices were around 0.15 ETH. It has been a little bit weak since, with the price down to about 0.07 ETH over the past couple of hours. Let's talk about a couple art sales. Saw some serious sales in both ringers and Fidenzas. That was really where the most of the volume has been over the past 24 hours. Let's have a quick look at that. In that top left there, you can see the Fidenza, which sold for 212 ETH. Now it's interesting. This one looks a lot, very similar look and feel to what we saw sell last week for over 600 ETH, as well as the Sotheby's Grail, which sold, I believe, for 580 ETH or so. So really big Fidenza sale. Love to see that. Amidst all this bear market, it does feel like Fidenzas continue to be on a bull market. ever since you had that big sale at the Grail Sotheby's auction. In the upper right here is a Ringers, which sold for 45 ETH. Looks a bit like a fish. Didn't get the same notoriety as the Goose, but I think it looks kind of like a fish. But this is the first Ringer sale in the past 3 weeks. Now, I think a lot of people are saying, why would you sell ahead of the Goose auction? The Goose auction is coming on the 15th. That's in 3 days. People are saying it could be 3, but Derek Edwards, who really is kind of deep in the high-end art space, is saying $5 million plus. People are saying huge numbers. So others are saying, why not wait till after then to sell your Ringers? Maybe we'll get a bit of a pump like we saw with Fidenzas. But the seller here, and I'll show you this in a second, owns a ton of Ringers, owns a ton of Fidenzas. So that seller will certainly have plenty more to sell if we do get that pump. The Meridian here on the lower left sold for 6.12 ETH, certainly at the lower end of the range for what we see from Meridians. And then in the lower right here, you can see a DK Motion, which sold for 3.8 ETH. Not an art block, but DK Motion is just one of the coolest animators in the space, has done so well with so many of his sales. This is an edition of 25. Worth taking a look at it, but figured I would throw that in as well. Now, I mentioned that the Ringer seller, Ruja, just has a ton more Ringers to sell. You can see this bag, just a ton of beautiful stuff there. Also owns a ton of Fidenzas and some really great chromey squiggles. So very, very nice collection there. Second thing to talk about, Memeland creates a waitlist for dropping meme coin. Let's dive in a little bit. Here's the tweet from meme coin, basically saying that the waitlist is live. Captains and potato holders both now have waitlist spots that they can give to other people. I think they're trying to spread a little bit of virality, and there's a new meme coin website, which is live. Diving into that website, they talked about the tokenomics. 69% of the token is going to go to the community, distributed both via this waitlist, but also via a fire sale. Fire sale's coming up. They didn't give timing on that, as well as multiple airdrops. So hopefully we're going to see more and more for captains and potato holders in terms of this meme coin. And then 31% is for others. Presumably that means the team, investors, who knows? They say that it's going to be used to buy Lambos, yachts, and private jets. Classic meme coin, Memeland, 9gag, whatever, talking the way they talk. Just a little bit more about these waitlist codes. Basically, captains and potatoes holders have a bunch of waitlist codes to give away. If you get one, you play a game. If you get 69 coins in the game, you submit your wallet and a code, share a tweet, and then you are on their waitlist. 9gag CEO Ray did say that he's not doing this so that people aren't going to get meme coin. Presumably a lot of the people who are on this waitlist are going to be getting coin. And I've heard through people who are trading them, a lot of people are trying to buy these waitlist spots that they were going for 0.01 ETH on Friday and are now up to about 0.04 ETH. So more and more interest. I asked, how do you buy it? They said just going into different discords and trying to find people. But that market, certainly rising for these waitlist spots. Now, in terms of pricing on captains and potatoes, and we see this a lot, once any drop happens, it tends to lead to weakness in the coin that enabled the drop, or the token that enabled the drop. And captains have been a little bit weak. I mean, this is still just an incredibly strong chart for this market, but the floor price did fall a little bit over the weekend. We saw something pretty similar in potatoes. Again, nothing too surprising when you get new news. And then lastly, let's talk about a few notable sales over the weekend, starting off with this one, Impossible Proclamation by Botto Project, sold for 4.2 ETH. Now, Botto Project has had sales as high as 100 ETH and certainly a lot higher than this, but I think that, Botto Project does put out a fair amount of art. Something like once a week, we're getting something new from them. So it's not too surprising in this market, super volume so low, one of one art so low, to see a 4.2 ETH sale at the lower end of the range. Still a nice sale for this market. This piece, Seafood Tower by socmplxd, sold for 8.25 ETH. As we know, socmplxd basically just creates really cool scenes, really kind of simplistic scenes of everyday life, but really turns them into really nice animations that I think have a great kind of ambiance and feel that people really like. If you look at prior sales for socmplxd, you can see they've been in the 5 to 15 ETH range. The donut, the ice cream sundae, this one with Legos in the upper right, really all very cool stuff. But this 8.25 ETH sale, certainly right in the middle of that range, and a nice sale for this market. A little bit more about socmplxd, making art about our ordinary lives. socmplxd is a multidisciplinary artist working professionally in the arts since 2008. So cool stuff there. And then the last sale to talk about, 3 Steps Forward by Brendan Dawes. This piece sold for 5 ETH. And this is another one where you really have to see the animation to get the full effect. I think this JPEG's about as good of a representation of the work as you can get in a JPEG, but there's a lot of movement of dots coming together to form that image. Now, Brendan Dawes has had a lot of sales in this 5 to 11 ETH range. A couple of this colorful wave, really kind of beautiful stuff in the 7 to 11 ETH range. And then a similar kind of look and feel to this one, which was sold for 5 ETH. A little bit about the artist, the Art of Form and Code, represented by Gazelle Art House. And in the MoMA permanent collection, I use generative processes involving machine learning, code, and data to create objects which exist digitally, physically, and sometimes both. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is there's an XCOPY piece, a 1 of 1 from XCOPY, which was on Fractionalized, where I believe the holders decided to put it up for auction. That is currently up for auction right now. Cool piece called 5 Eyes. You can see the highest bid is 97.3 ETH. I am sure that will go higher. We still have a day and a few hours left in this auction, but interesting to see that. Always cool when the next copy 1 of 1 comes up for sale and goes under auction. Always interesting, kind of, to see a little bit of a benchmark for where we are at this moment in time in terms of pricing. That is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, tell us what you think in the comments. We appreciate when you do all those things, and we'll be back tomorrow and every weekday with another show. Have a great day.